Mercedes-Benz E-Class, E250W212, model car. The problem of this car is that while driving, the engine suddenly stopped on the road. Now the car engine does not start, the engine cranks but does not start. What is the reason? Car has this problem. How to solve this problem? If your car has this kind of problem, you will be able to. Inshallah, I request you to watch the complete video. My best wishes and congratulations on behalf of this channel. Now I will test to start the car engine to see if the car engine starts or not. See Mercedes-Benz E-Class car problem, engine cranks but doesn't start. Why is the engine cranking but not starting? First I will check the scan computer for any fault codes. First I would check the engine code to see if there is a fault code. Now I will click on read fault code. See this engine code, p0627. The output for the fuel pump has an electrical fault or open circuit. Common causes of this error code include fuel pump problems, wiring problems, a bad CAN bus, circuit problems, and PCM failure. A vehicle logging this code can cause reduced engine performance, hard starting, engine start stalling, or misfire. With the ignition switch off, to find where the fuel pump is, to check the fuel pump and wiring. The fuel pump is located under the rear seat. So open the seat. After opening the back seat, two black covers are attached with screws. After opening the cover and screws, you will see the fuel filter on the left side and the fuel pump on the right side. How to test fuel pump circuit with multimeter. First I will remove the fuel pump wire socket to test the fuel pump circuit. After opening the fuel pump wire socket, I set the multimeter to DC voltage to check. After setting the multimeter to DC voltage, connect the black wire to the car body art. Step number 1, to check the fuel pump supply, plus, volts, place the ignition key switch in the on position. With the ignition key switched to the on position, connect the red lead of the multimeter to wire number 2 in the fuel pump wire socket. Wire number 2 is the positive supply voltage. Number 2 wire to fuel pump socket, positive supply 10.34 volt, wire and signal voltage no problem. The number 2 wire in the fuel pump socket is the positive supply voltage and all other wires are the ground body earth signal. Now I will test the ground body earth signal of the socket. Connect the red cable of the multimeter to the second wire of the socket, and connect the black cable of the multimeter to the number 1 wire of the socket. Check that the ground signal line of socket number 1 wire is OK. Check that the ground signal line of socket number 1 wire is OK. Check that the ground signal line of the fuel pump socket number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 and number 6 wire is OK. All ground signals are above 10 volts. There is no problem with the wiring in the Mercedes-Benz E-Class car fuel pump 6-pin wire socket. And if there is a problem with the wiring connection, positive supply voltage left body earth ground signal, then you must check the wiring connection or the fuel pump control module and the wear connection or fuel pump control module. If there is a problem, repair or replace it. How to test fuel pump pressure with pressure meter. I will plug the fuel pump wire into the socket, then check the fuel pump pressure. From the fuel pump the petrol enters the fuel filter, and from the fuel filter to the petrol engine compartment hyperpressure pump. The petrol from the hyperpressure pump enters the petrol common rail, and from the common rail the petrol enters the petrol injector and supplies the fuel injector to enter the petrol engine. To check the fuel pump pressure, open the fuel output hose pipe connection and install the fuel pressure gauge with the left side fuel filter. I will install the fuel pressure meter, 2 pipes of the fuel pressure meter. One pipe will be connected to the fuel filter and the other pipe will be connected to the fuel line pipe. Fuel pressure meter installed. Now I will check with car ignition switch on. Fuel pump no pressure, ignition switch in on position and no fuel pressure. Now I will start the engine and see if there is fuel pressure. When the push start button is clicked to start the engine cranks but cannot be started because there is no fuel pressure. The fuel pump is not working, so there is no fuel pressure and the car engine cannot be started due to fuel problem. How to remove electric fuel pump Mercedes W212. Now I will open the fuel pump. First remove wire socket to change the fuel pump. To open the fuel pump, the lock bracket on top of the fuel pump must be opened. To open the lock bracket on top of the fuel pump, open the lock by turning it to the left. I open the fuel pump lock bracket. Normally I use these fuel pump opening tools to open the lock. The fuel pump lock bracket is opened by turning it to the left. To open the fuel pump lock, you can open the fuel pump lock by pressing equally with 2 screwdrivers on both sides. Open the top lock of the fuel pump and take it out. After opening the top of the fuel pump and lifting it up, look inside and open the fuel hose pipe connection. To open the fuel pump pipe, press and hold this green lock inward and pull the pipe upward. Now I will take out the fuel pump. After taking it out, I poured the petrol inside the fuel pump again into the fuel tank. The fuel pump is not working, so I will change it. How to install fuel pump Mercedes E-Class. I will install this new fuel pump. There are 2 fuel pumps here. One new and one old fuel pump. The Mercedes-Benz E-Class car fuel pump can be divided into 2 parts, so it is very easy to disassemble and install. To install the fuel pump, I will go inside the car and first install the lower part of the fuel pump inside the fuel tank. Install the lower part of the fuel pump and connect the fuel pipe to the fuel pump. Replace the fuel pump O-ring gasket before installing the upper part of the fuel pump. Install the upper part of the fuel pump. Connect the 2 wire sockets to the upper part of the fuel pump well. Fit the upper part of the fuel pump well and take care that there is no problem with the bottom O-ring, and if the O-ring is not right, it will leak the fuel and create dirt inside the car. Hold the fuel pump downwards and attach the up lock bracket. When installing, the lock bracket should be turned to the right. Lock the lock bracket as it was when the lock was opened. We'll connect the socket of the cable with the fuel pump. Complete by installing the fuel pump. The first engine code must be cleared with a scan computer. Turn the ignition key switch to the on position to clear engine codes. The fault code is displayed once more before the engine code is cleared. Now I will click on Clear Full Code to clear the engine code. Please turn ignition switch off, and then press Enter to continue. Fault code cleared. Please turn ignition switch on, then press Enter to continue. After clearing the fault code, now I will check whether it is there or not. See now, no fault code. Inshallah everything is completed. Now I will try to start the car engine to see if the car engine starts or not. To start the engine, first press the brake pedal and click on the push start button. See that the engine has started, but now there is no problem. If you like the video, please subscribe the channel, and if you have any problem, please comment. Comment if you have any other problem with your car.